We're talking about some winter weather that's going to be impacting our upcoming days across the eastern U.S. The potential for snow, some ice threat possible as far south as North Carolina, right there in the northern upstate of South Carolina, possibly. We're going to be talking about how some severe weather as well could be impacting our next week or even the week after that, so to speak. So there's a lot of things to talk about here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for having you today on this Friday, and let's get right into it. All right, right here, we're starting to get into the weather models right here. You have the GFS model. Um, Here, the latest 18Z run, you're going to have some rain that's lingering rain showers on your Saturday. Really, probably will be gone by Saturday, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, the lingering, that'll be gone by then, maybe. This is the latest GFS model. We've seen it show ice potential for North Carolina over and over and over. And the GFS is really thinking North Carolina can get this ice threat. Snow down here towards the Ohio area, going down eastward into the Carolinas. And then as you can see right there, we're starting to go down. We have that snow. We have those pinks that are on your screen, the green, all types of weather mixing in, becoming a big, big ice storm for this area. And then it continues to move on. Ice is still lingering around for North Carolina. And let's not forget about the Virginias, too. Ice, of course, is in those areas. Ice still lingering around for the next few hours. And then it finally decides to exit out Tuesday night. Then it brings us the ability for rain showers, and then we're starting to get far out. But then that's when the severe weather threat is potential for some warm weather and rain, and you know what the atmosphere brings for that majority of the time. Some severe storms. So right now here, the European model, I think that's showing a few thunderstorms or heavy rain in Florida that's going to be impacting your Saturday. Very quiet for the deep south. We continue to move on. European model showing here snow, but then you see that ice threat pop up. Not a big event for the South, and it's not even showing North Carolina with the European model. So that's where it's a little bit decisive here. It's very this is splitting up. One model is showing North Carolina, the other model is not showing North Carolina at all, getting any winter weather whatsoever. You look here with the Canadian model, we continue to move that model on down, and then you have snow developing here in the Virginias, going down into North Carolina with some wintry mix and some ice. Tries to dump some ice close to Greensboro, Winston-Salem, if not there near also Raleigh. Ice starts to move on out, and then you have the remaining rain showers, and then it moves on out, and then we're starting to get far out there in the forecast. So we're trying to predict on what's the possibility here, what could happen here in the situation. So we have the GFS model showing ice possible for North Carolina. We then have the European model. The European model is showing that there's not really any ice touching North Carolina at all. And then the Canadian model is kind of giving us an in between here. We have ice for North Carolina, but it's not nearly the whole state that we saw with the GFS model. So the Canadian model right now is in between. The European model says, no, we're going to take this up to the Virginias. And then the GFS consistently, with these model runs over and over, showing the ice accumulations, well, the ice showing up for North Carolina. So it's all about the cold setup here. And I'm going to bring you back here to the GFS model for the southeastern U.S. Show you what's going on here. The GFS model right here, as you can see, once again, I talked about this before, and I know you've been hearing me talk about it for a while. You have the cold air damming situation. The cold air damming, what that does is it's bringing that cold air down so there's this sort of this wedge you see here, if that's what I'm thinking here, sort of this wedge of cold air. So cold air damming, bringing the favorable possibilities of ice accumulations. And this is why yesterday's video, if you haven't seen that, you can check that out on my YouTube channel as well by clicking the YouTube channel button. right here is the area that I said I would watch for concern, and it's still going to be on concern because we're still a little bit far out. We're not very far out. We're like 6 days away from this, or really, so we're not really far away from this setup of as a storm. We're really like 4 to 6 days, give or take, about the storm system. So that cold air damming situation, it all depends on where the cold air sets up. Remember that between that red and that blue is going to be the 32-degree mark roughly in that area. And how far is the cold air going to get down? Remember earlier we saw that the GFS model was pulling out some ice accumulations right here in northeast Georgia, east central Georgia, the Midlands of the Carolinas. Now we're sort of seeing just mainly in North Carolina. We've seen North Carolina consistently over and over at this time frame. And if you take this here to the 12Z, so the 12Z, with the 12Z, we have the ice still there for North Carolina. So really hasn't anything has changed. And then you look again at really 6 o'clock. It tried to trend up north just a little bit, but then it's doing this trend up and down, but not really any changes at all with the GFS. That can still change over time. That doesn't mean we're locking in this forecast because remember, clearly, we're undecisive between all of these models. GFS being colder, European being less cold, and Canadian being right in the middle of all of these models. Very interesting storm system that we have to figure out here. And it is going to be a tricky one to figure out, but I think once we were able to lock this in, I'll try to give you as much information as possible. Now, we're going to look and take a look at the Northeast right now. Now, for my Northeast folks, right here, we're looking at the GFS model. And I know this is actually a wider look at what we're looking at, a wider picture. So, trying to get it where you can get that time frame February the 27th, which is today. We continue to move that across a few showers in the very northern parts of the country, but then you have this snow. We've been talking about this snow that's really going to be an intro to basically this big winter storm that's going to try to move on through. A little bit of a March snow start off on your Sunday. Snow's going to move on through, try to get to areas that are far north, areas of Maine, areas of Massachusetts, all your New England states. It's going to continue to move across, but then you have this storm system that we're really looking at right here, and it's really going to, like I said, these it's going to really merge here as the energy is going to really get active. As you see down here in the Delmarva region and the Maryland region, you have snow breaking out here, and you have that ice threat by the Carolinas with the GFS model. Look at all of the mixing that's happening here. Look at the cold air damming. You can clearly see that there is like a sort of a turn right into there. It's not your typical just straight line there. There's that cold air damming that's happening there with that system. We continue to move this across, and then look right here. Right here is where you have the conditions here. You have this sort of system here and this sort of system here, both feeding into that cold air. So it's really a part of the same system, shall I say, part of the same system, not really, so to speak. You have that ice, and then this storm system starts merging together. Look at the pieces of energy connect, and then you see the blues that are popping up on your screen for northern parts of the country, and then just blue galore, blue galore. Just a big winter storm shown here on the GFS model. Then it eventually moves on out, and then we have the chance of some more ice accumulations again, is what the GFS is hinting on. So snow's going to stick around for a while if this is how this plays out. You have snow moving across there, across more New England states. Ice accumulation still possible, mixing in, so you can just see there, and then you continue to move that on. Then we start to get far out, but look, do we have a potential for an ice storm in the northeast again? Look at all that snow popping up on your screen. That's what the GFS model is hinting out on. Now let's look at the European model for the northeast and show you what's going on there. What are the possibilities with the European? We want to show you all the model guidance, and I want to give you all the data, all the information. So we're not just looking at one particular model and saying that that's going to happen. Remember, all of these models could change. This is not guaranteed to happen, but we want to sort of look through all of our options come to a conclusion and see what possibly could happen. Northeast, as we continue to move across, we start to see some rain showers. That's what the European model is showing. And then once again, the European being less colder, but you do see that shot for some snow, that intro to March there, going into the New York City area, probably some few flakes there. And then you have your winter storm trying to form there in the area down there. Remember, less colder, but then it is connecting with the European. So we're looking at the potential for there to be a winter storm. It's just where is that winter storm going to be? Where is that cold air going to be in place? And how far north? How far south? Will it be? European model showing heavy snow for areas of New England. It moves on out, and then the European model goes on, and then it stops there, right there on March 5th. Now, for the Canadian model, what do we have for this part of the country in the Northeast? Now, this is what the European model is saying. We have some snow, very few flakes. That's what the European is showing for the upstate of New York. Then we continue to move on out, have some snow still flying around, but then there goes that intro to March right there. That snow that is, so we can see that that's going to be an early snow, an early start to this big storm that we're watching. You see right down there, just near the Ohio area and Point South, you can see that storm system take a takeoff there, and then you really think it's going to end there, but then that rain it starts beefing up that winter weather with that cold air. You see the snow, you see the mixture, you see the green there. You continue to move across, then you're having snow in the Pennsylvania area, some mixing there, and then some greens around the Ohio area. It continues to move north. You see those pieces of energy start connecting. You see the area of snow connecting with each other. The cold air is getting fed through. And then you have snow breaking out. And that's what the Canadian model shows. Also shows that potential for some more icing possible, but that's up towards Canada, and then it brings out this big winter storm, which we really don't know what's going to happen that far out, but the potential is there for these types of storms. And then look at that, just a big ice storm on March 9th. But we don't know if that's going to happen. So our eyes are going to be laid right here on this March, this early to midweek winter storm next week. So March 1st, it looks like you're going to get those flakes flying around in areas of the Northeast. And then the main concern here, the ice potential, the snow potential for areas in the Northeast on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. All right, so now where does that leave us with a severe weather threat that has the potential to break out in the next 7 days? So we continue to look at this model. We're looking at the Eastern U.S. I'm going to use the European model, for example, because it does a great job at showing where these storms or these heavy rain showers are going to show up. As you can see, they show up in those red dots, as you can see down there in Florida. So those are probably heavy rain showers or thunderstorms. We move this across with a European model, and this is just model guidance. We're just going to use this as an example. We know this is far out, but the potential for severe weather is there, especially with the pattern change that we're about to have, which is going to allow us to get those warmer temperatures to be in all of these areas of the eastern U.S. So we're going to go from cold, and we're going to switch up. We're going to have our severe weather season probably kicking up here in March. So we have the severe weather as we've seen. I mean, really, it's kind of kicked up already as we saw those severe storms yesterday and a few days ago, where we had some severe thunderstorms, some strong thunderstorms. But this right here may be a game changer for many people in the South. So you look right here, you see sort of that now everybody around the country is starting to get warm around March 4th after that winter storm moves out. And then look, you see a line of storms that are moving up, and then I'm not sure what this is right here, but that could be what is a beefed up system cluster of storms. And as they always do, not saying that's going to happen, but you know how that goes. A line of storms always pushes east. So really, in your favorable areas for your tornadoes and severe storms, as always, areas of the south right here as that line of storms moves down. So that's what we could be looking at in the near future. Um, Here's a look at your current weather radar right now from the National Weather Service, right there out there in the country. We're looking at clear conditions right now. A few, I think that might be snow or rain. It depends. Rain down there in Florida. I mean, it's really a quiet Friday night out there, folks. So not really anything going on. It's going to be a quiet weekend, especially for the South. So not really much going on. But then as we get into early next week and the midweek for the Eastern U.S., eyes will be on you. And could we get that potential for an ice storm in North Carolina in early March? It is very well possible. Well, here's a look at your National Weather Service hazards right now. Winter weather advisories are just going to be right across the country here in the northern parts. Wind advisories. Finally, the fire dangers are calming down, although we could get more of those issued potentially. You have some flood advisories that are down there, of course, from the earlier rains that we had near the Atlanta metro. We had a flash flood warning early this morning. Those will probably expire soon. Hopefully, that wasn't very bad flooding. It could have been bad, but I'm not sure on the status of that at the moment. So I'm not sure if you can see that on your screen. Yeah, those flood advisories. We had a flash flood warning there. Um, I think these are, I maybe they're fog advisories. Let's see here. Those are dense fog advisories we have there for areas of the California mountains. Right here we have some. I think those are high wind warnings. Yep, high wind warnings. We have there some going to be a very quiet weekend, and it's about time for a quiet weekend. We've had a lot of interruptions. That last weekend with the Northeast, a big blizzard. A lot of people overperformed, some people underperformed. It was a very interesting storm, to say the least. But that's really going to end this video here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful Friday. Have a great weekend out there. Stay blessed, stay safe, and I'll see you out there.